hello, Kalu Kalay. I was watching videos. Hello. So, got work to do today. Work is good. Work is a lot. Did a lot of writing. Did a lot of writing. That's the main thing of what occurred. So, very basic things. Kind of talked about medical stuff up here. The Lazarus weeping, did the entire thing on AI, how Snap works, system neutral appendages. Also did Disco Elysium. The Disco Elysium section is mostly about crime, about, Mavericks, about how technically, there is a criminal element to everything. Like, people are always doing, crime. Like, crime is everywhere. It's alive and well. You just kind of have this Elysian state kind of underneath everything, which are Mavericks. Because Mavericks are still around. It's not like they never left. It's just they're a bunch of people in their 20s and 30s. Often from low income or disadvantaged households with previous experience in either the military or criminal activities. Yeah, they exist. I still need to do the Badge of Purgatory, Monolith to Unity, the Manufacturer City. Still need to talk about those a little bit. Generally speaking, what we did do here was did what I want to do with like the resonance. The concept of the resonance image was to kind of give like a theme a little bit with it. I also added a little bit more, such as authority, tap into it when you want to get tap into it to get what you want from another. Unleash your hate when you beat someone down, access it when you need to learn something. I also changed empathy to mood. Kind of the idea of like reading the mood. That's kind of the idea. And it's like, yeah, like, charisma cops, wily detectives, charlatans, they're reading the mood mostly. So, did the loadout section as well. The loadout and uniforms, I talked a lot about how they function. What's a THAT gun? What's the, Technically, what I should do is add the footnote here for the formerly a Macrotech stunner before their bankruptcy. I forgot to put it there. The Macrotech. But generally speaking, also what's on your belt? You have a personal, kit of forensic tools with database connection, gloves, sample bags, anything else the aspiring detective may need. Never as much as you want. 2 pairs of plasteel handcuffs that require an auto picker or key to break the lock on it. Last fixture of any Neurobeat officer is a Medico case, kind of like learning what Medico case is. This is what's on your belt. This is what's in your pocket. Change the identification papers to a PIP. So you have a PIP card, and your public identification passcodes. Effectively picture a QR code you have on a card that a cop can scan, being like, yep, you're a real human being. Of course, you got your public security badge, all the other different things. You have your sleek plastic UN security clearance badge, though. Sleek plastic indicates they have a blue clearance, in not an IN facility, in a UN facility. Each of them are giving 3 charge cards upon their arrival. Yes, I literally spend like two fucking paragraphs just talking about what your credit cards are like, because you get two basic credit cards. You get the public safety charge card, and you also get a UN charge card. Both of them are very different from one another. And then, of course, you have your basic one, which I actually have to talk about, like, yeah, what's your actual salary? You start with a salary of 85,000 per year, which is around 3.4k credits paid bi-weekly on Friday. Yeah, you get paid you're gonna get paid. You're gonna get a paycheck every 2 weeks, because of course you are. That's your fucking what it is. Energy credits, technocracy, nope. Good old-fashioned just creds. Why? Because the UN has a centralized currency. The UN made a new currency, and it's about 50% social credits and 50% real money. Just because all the other currency in the world kind of get fucked off. The UN made global euro, effectively. Also the feel one no turtleneck, Middle Eastern turtleneck. Do you get a gold chain as well? If you want to wear a gold chain, nothing can stop you. Why yesterday? Just why? Because it's funny. One of the other weird, just other odd things that were just added, your Roscoe armored jacket. You pretty much have level 2 body armor at all times. You have your Class A uniform, of course, as well as a Class B uniform. Standard uniform, which I learned about what a Class A and Class B uniform is. And, the idea of what gloves are, because Neurobeat has a weird fixation on gloves, because it's like, hey, it's a restriction of power. We also did the living situation a little bit. You can live in a 35 square meter shoebox located in the UN district of Oxagon. Private bed, it has a bed, it has a kitchen, and a bathroom. However, it's it's 35 square meters. To give you an idea of 35 square meters, you're living in, square meter apartment. To give you an idea, this is what your apartment is going to look like. You live in effectively a shoebox, a shoebox studio. You live in a very complicated, very tightly built, effectively cell block. You kind of see even here is just like, yeah, where do you live? You live here. You kind of live up here, but not really. Yeah, it's a very tight place that you live in, and everything is very close together. You don't really, everything's very compact in your 35 square meter apartment. Yeah, it's not glamorous in the slightest. However, food's free, cleaning staff is available 24/7, medical facilities, and even an on-site recreation center to live, work, and exist with the UN and NEOM. City blocks, of course, cost about $800 to $2,500 a month. While each of the 5 city blocks are unique, 1-bedroom apartments, averaging at 50 square meters, are standard living arrangement for many people in NEOM. I also had to learn about Alakriyaba. Alakriyaba. I had to learn about this place. This is, to give you an idea, this is the city of Alkiraba, which, you can't access, but you can kind of see, this is not big. This is going to be on the line. Like, you got to think about it like that. This is going to be on the line, because you have NEOM Community 1, Wadi, like, these are all habited areas. Yeah, like, generally speaking, I'm kind of positioning, like, where these little, effectively where these work camps are. If you want an idea where I'm picturing these work camps, this is where a vast majority of, and the NCV camps, like, this is where I'm imagining the city blocks are going to pop up. So it's like, yeah, we have this huge thing, but it's like, here's a shitty city block, like, this entire area just becomes one massive city block. And you're going to go all the way over here to kind of like, Tabuk kind of becomes its own city block, because Tabuk is an actual city. You can visit Tabuk. This is a capital of the area that is available. And could I picture this place just becoming absolutely flooded with people? Yeah. And you want to know how many people live in Tabuk? Fucking no one lives in Tabuk. It's a very small town. It's a very, effectively, has a population of 667,000. Okay, a lot more than I actually thought. Yeah, 667,000. I don't actually think that many people. Where the fuck is this? Why does it seem so small? Oh, I guess I'm that's not looking at it right. Like, let's. Yeah, okay. I could picture places like Tabuk becoming a bigger area. Being like, yeah, the line would kind of end here. You've kind of got the bigger cities up here, and everything just kind of becomes these weird city blocks of just building on top of one another. Let's just not look up north. Yeah. So picture this place of Tabuk becoming a horrific giant metro super city. Yeah. That's where you would live. Or you can live on the line, which is a lot cheaper, but can get pretty expensive. Or you can live at a $250 a month bungalow that is a 500 square meter mansion house. However, you don't live in the city, and it takes you takes you about a few hours to get into the city. That's the problem. You don't live in the city. So wait, is the US a Mad Max war zone or fully under control of the UN? The best way to think of the US in this current state of affairs is picture the economy collapsed into it of itself. That's the big thing. Imagine the entire imagine the entire economy of the United States evaporating overnight. That is effectively what occurred. They saved themselves because of resource rights, and there's like the US is still there, but it's like we have to adopt a new fucking currency. Because we have to. Gizwite, God, this cancel click fucking Gitmo. Yeah, that's one of the things. Yeah, the US, I don't think, I wouldn't imagine the US fractured. That's the thing. I wouldn't imagine the US would, fracture into a million pieces or anything like that. I don't believe that. I think the idea of the United States is powerful. However, I could picture things going really terrible. And when those really terrible things are there, people would, people would come together, but it would be like not necessarily friendly. Like, we are together because we have a USA. That's pretty much it. But I don't believe they would I don't believe the US would balkanize. That's the thing. I really don't believe that. I think people would, how the best way, the worst I could see in this particular setting, because that's not the really the important aspect of this. What I could see would be a US that is way more republic, if that makes sense. The original Articles of Confederation tier, like all the states start doing their own thing. I mean, like, we don't trust the US government very much because the US government fucked up. Because imagine this, you're running for re-election. Yeah, it's the president, and the entire economy fails. Not, we are experiencing an economic downturn. No, there is no more economy. It is dead. Every major US corporation has just exploded. I don't think anyone's gonna win that election. Being like, damn, we lost the re-election. Zam! So Notepad, watching your most recent video, truly building magical systems is pain and agony, especially if they are the main thing, and wonder doing something like that or making design thing. Magic systems are fascinating because you can approach it in two directions. It really depends on how you want magic to happen. Do you want magic to be zippity zam, I'm going to cast fireball, and you waggle your fingers around and everything explodes into a million pieces? Or do you want to be like, well, using my arcane knowledge, I have constructed ball fire ×2. Like, there's a lot of different things when it comes to a magic system, and I think the difficult aspect with building a magical system does boil down to writing a... How do I want to word this? It boils down to writing an interesting 1, 2, 3. That makes sense. You have to write an interesting aspect to that setting. And it's like, you have to explain it. You have to go, how do I want to word this? This is a completely weird rant, but you have to explain how it works. Then you got to explain everything on why it works that way. Then the world has to fit the way that it works. And then you can start making a system for it. That's why you get things like Nen. If you ever want to know why Nen is so overcomplicated, and why there's like so much detail in Hunter x Hunter, the Nen system there, is because he legitimately sat down. I can guarantee you this, over the course of probably like 2 weeks, sat down and wrote out every single possibility of what could happen. There is probably a Bible somewhere that he has that he is forced to reference every single time he makes any call on that Nen. Yeah, and that's kind of the idea, is it's like, you have to start justifying things a lot more. And every justification becomes another note. And every note has to become something you have to reference earlier. And you got to double check, is that note previously backed up? Or are we contradicting something? It's awful. It is truly the worst thing in the world. And I hate writing lore. That's the secret, kids. I just fucking hate writing lore. I've never really enjoyed writing lore that much. It just doesn't appeal to me as much. That's the secret. I see that lounge chat definition. I see it. Don't you think I don't see it, you little bitch? Also, you can make a, like... Yeah, no, you can, like, that's why I say, like, if you define it early on being just, like, it's very soft and very, like, you know, very loosey-goosey, then, yeah, it works really easily. Because, like, name one Final Fantasy game where magic's, like, really explained. Really I think only 7 really goes into, like, graphic detail of, like, why magic is the way that it is. And the answer is materia. Yeah, and I think one of the issues, again, with like a really overly detailed magic system is what happened. Like, you can have this really over detailed magic system, very detailed magic system, and from there, but you can also have a character who is like, I don't want to engage with any of that. And it's like, fuck. Like, so it's like, you always kind of got to balance things out. So it's like, it's not too powerful, so the martial guys don't feel completely cucked, but it's also not, it's a mess. Hey, Notepad, would newer cops ever be... Yeah, I could probably see them do that. But again, that's not your job. That is another person's job who is way better paid than you. You make less than average than an average Interpol agent. You are not you are not, it's not your fucking pay grade to start doing cool shit like that. You need military experience. You need backgrounds and that kind of stuff. That's not your job. Your job is to sit here and look pretty. Ooh. Oh, 3, 2, 1. Ugh. Sorry, my little dark age PNG. Ow. Ow. At the same time, at the same time, if you give Marshall 1,000 billion power, magic stops being magical. Yeah, Kino in your server. Yeah, I know it's Kino in my server. Yeah, that's kind of one of the issues you see there, Mara. It's like you end up in a situation where it's like this isn't really like productive in the slightest. If I see them continue this, mind you, I want everyone, if any of you are listening, if I see this conversation continue, I'm gonna tell you to go take the fucking schizo. Jeez. Ugh. Neurobeat isn't brought in to simply be the United Nations private detectives. Their neural chemistry is focused. Their minds trained, and neuromab in their veins keep their psycho power internalized and their volition in check. They are psychics, fourth generation of a decades-long program to harness the mind to abuse the world. Their abilities are a reflection of their inhuman soul. Effectively, you got two main powers. You have Chorus, which allows you to effectively hear the thoughts around you. This is the most basic idea. And this is like one of the most like simplest but really complicated things that introduces a very weird section here. The entire premise of the Chorus is simple. You can listen to the thoughts of everyone around you. And the closer you are to them, the more precise it becomes. But the best way to think about being in a chorus is listening to the chorus is you are sitting there and imagine you are sitting in a restaurant and you're just listening to the noise around you. There is noise. The people are clearly having a conversation. People are clearly talking, but you have no idea what the fuck they're saying. Someone could shout and you're like, okay, I'm hearing what this person's saying. If the person right behind you is saying something, you can probably hear what they're saying. But that is pretty much your 24/7. It's just this constant sense of meandering thoughts. Where are my keys? Did I leave the oven on? I hope I get a promotion. She looks really hot. Man, I really hope I roll well in my next game. Hey, I really hate, I really hate that it's bright out today. Or, hey, I wish I wore my better suit. Those are just surface thoughts. These things that you are thinking right now, they can listen in on. And then it can still be private and intimate. And that's kind of a disturbing aspect of it, is, hey, you can listen to people's thoughts around you, and if you're talking to someone, you can hear them pretty reliably. But so it's kind of like, hey, we want to we're talking about things, but you know how you formulate a thought before, when you, to some people, when you're really speaking to someone, sometimes it takes you a second to kind of like think about what you're going to say, and then you say it. Imagine listening to what they're going to say and then having them say it. Which, if someone is very comfortable with you, they don't need to actually speak. It's just complete, they can just think it and you're going to be able to hear them. Those very private, quiet conversations where no one can like overhear you exactly. You're literally just sitting there. Drinking a cup of coffee as you're having as this person is telling you shit. Because this person cares about you. But mind you, it's also kind of a one-way street. You can't join the chorus. You can only listen. There is a barrier. You can listen, but you cannot speak to them. Telepathy isn't there, really. It's not like I'm going to telepathically communicate to you. Unless you start the Trojan horse. The Trojan horse is the fucked up one. Their deep thoughts are spoken aloud, their inner secrets exposed, and their palace of the mind is blown open. And I kind of even talk about the idea of the mental palace. It's whenever you enter someone's mind, you are viewing things how they perceive it. The way that they would imagine this is, where is their happy place? You ever been to like a dream location? You've probably all remembered like a dream. And remember those like obtuse sceneries and like weird locations that just don't make sense? That's the mental palace. That is your thoughts made manifest. And they can just, and as a Neurobeat agent, if you can, again, flesh to flesh, if your hand is gripping their hand, you can go in there and you're walking around and you can find thoughts. You can understand things. So Psychonauts, yeah, effectively. But one of the big things is you are in complete control. They have no say in the matter. They cannot evict you. They can't fight you at that point. You're already in. You have walked into their door. And that you are in their house now. And that's kind of the... let's see, anything is valid court of law. Lean to truth rather than... As well as the need for a warrant. Yeah, and it's... If you don't consent to it, they can't force it on you unless there's a warrant issued. But... actually, there we go. You wanna, if they lawyer up, and you need to, we're gonna search your fucking mind, then, yeah, you need a fucking warrant. You need a warrant to do this. But if they willingly, actually, I should put that as a, side note. Yeah, however, if they open the door, we're free to walk in. Yeah, and a warrant can get you into a lot of houses. Exactly. If you provide good enough evidence being like, yeah, we're pretty sure this is the guy who did it, just give me, authorize a warrant to let us search his mind, and be like, yeah, we'll authorize the warrant to let you, get in, and yeah, we'll read your fucking mind. But, and of course, they can just, if they willingly say, hey, I've got nothing to hide. And you're like, oh, all right, if a police officer says, can I search your car? You can legally say no, and there's nothing they can do about it. If you say, hey, can we search your car? And you say, yeah, sure. There's nothing, there is absolutely nothing you can do when they find drugs in your boot. There's nothing that you can do about it. Be like, yeah, but you didn't get a warrant. Be like, yeah, you let me search your car, you dumbass. Now, these are the other abilities. These are your main abilities, you could say. Each of these is tied to a skill. And I actually should... Every other ability... Actually, I should say being... What's the... Being normal, D0 in a... Being normal, D0 in a skill. Does not doesn't indicate they indicate. Mm. 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 Use your ability. You must use your ability. Fucking if you ever get bored, watch Mandalore play Shankaram. It is an experience unlike any other. And inadvertently, that is what we have made. We've made the Shankaram tabletop role-playing game experience with Neurobeat. It's great. So let's see. I still wonder if the Neurocops have their own fucking black side and that the other cops don't know of, like, under the broth or some shit. It's one of those things, like, if you want to establish something like that, you don't really need to worry about it. Just go to the UN. Honest to God, if you get, like, hey, we want to interview this guy, but we don't want the other cops to really know too much about it, go to the UN. You flash your badge, and you go into a dark room. You are technically, in the eyes of Neom and the UN, part of the military police. You can freely just take someone to a UN site, and there's nothing the cops can do. However, the cops aren't going to really appreciate when you start bringing criminals into a weird black site that nobody can access. So, wait, so we like the Stasi or KGB? As I was describing to people last night, we are on the precipice of either becoming Ghost in the Shell or fully embracing or fully becoming the dystopic nightmare. We don't know yet, and it's completely out of your control. It is not your responsibility. It's not your problem. You're just a psychic cop who can read people's minds, and you're funded by the UN. Which, again, there's a very particular note, and I remember you brought this up, like, what happens if these guys go rogue? Right here, actually. Right here, you're given a UN bank account and a personal charge card for expenses. Your bank account is by the UN. Everything is by the UN. You betray, you go against them, you're fucked. You don't have money, you don't have an apartment, they know where you live, they know where you sleep, they know everything about you. And and it's like, oh, well, they wouldn't normally, oh, hey, they're rarely monitored by its managers unless repeated infractions by the office or a massive expenditure. They can still monitor you. You're just as much, like, the UN is an uncaring beast. Doesn't give a shit about you. You are just a part of you are a part of the system. And sometimes the system needs people to do some shit that people don't want to do. You're effectively part of the military police. You wear a blue helmet. You don't wear the blue helmet. But if you want to do some sketchy shit, you can. Nothing's stopping you. Nothing is stopping you if you are doing it for the protection of the civilian people. And that's kind of like one of those things where I'm not going to explicitly tell you. I will never explicitly tell you to, like, this is what you should be like. This is what you are like. No, I'm just telling you, you're a cop. You want to bring a prisoner in for questioning? Yeah, you can go to the station. You can go to, the Neon, you can go to the local, public security bureau building. You can put him in there, and you can go through all the proper channels. So wait, what kind of gangs or criminal groups could survive this kind of police? Like, they would need to be like RoboCop gangs, live past a day, wouldn't they? The thing is, you are Neurobeat. There are about 20 of you. Neom has a population in the millions. Probably at this point, it would be like... Let me think. This would be how... You're looking at like a place the size of Beijing. Possibly larger. You are dealing with a megacity, the first megacity. You know, you are dealing with a you are dealing with a megacity, and there are about 30, 40 of you. There's like 20 of you max. There's regular police. You can't manage everybody. That's not your fucking job. You don't care. There are regular police, and they do their job. And you just don't go to the lower brackets. Don't. That's a terrible play. Like, that's a terrible place for you to go. You get called in by the cops. That's kind of like one of the ideas I want to kind of get across is the cops are calling you in because they need help, or they need backup, or they want you to help them do something. And like a opening briefing would be less like, oh, you've discovered this. It would be like, hey, you've been called in by Vice. What does Vice need? Hey, we found a shit ton of narcotics, and we need Neurobeat to help us out here because these guys are higher than a fucking kite and won't talk to us. We'll guarantee you a fucking warrant. We need help though. We need help tracking these guys down, and there you go. Criminals don't expect you. You're 20 fucking people that get subbed out regularly. Remember, you're here on a pretty much a tour. You'll get sent home. You will go somewhere else in the world. You are working with these guys for maybe a year or two, and then you go home. You might have an apartment in Berlin. You might have you might live in Chicago. You might live in Detroit. You are here, and you are foreign. You are not supposed to be here. You'll serve your time, and you'll leave. And then another batch will come in, and then another batch will come in, and that's it. You can solve a few crimes, and you're going to get caught up in things, of course. Why do I get like COD Black Ops from this? If you want to play it like that, nothing is stopping you. If you want to play this like very like deep dark, deep state, like fucking. Hey, if you want to play like Deep State Nightmare, want to play, fucking super glowies, yeah, you totally can. And I am okay with you playing hyper glowies. Because if you've ever wanted to see, again, if you ever want to see Terry Davis's ultimate nightmare, it's Neurobeat. Oh, when using an ability? That's it. Like, you don't have to be clever. And, like, I'm not going to say how they work here, because there's going to be a section on that. But, if we go to table properties... Ooh. So, effectively, I went through last night, actually, and I wrote these all down, because I had a good idea. Aeon Sage, using Enchiridion. If you're using the Aeon Sage, you are effectively offloading your brain to people around you to, calculate shit faster. That's literally all you're doing. You are decentralizing your mind for a few moments to think about something that other people around you might know by just gleaning information off people. Aeon Sage is kind of more of a deep thinking one, but it's also, where would you use Aeon Sage? You want to learn about who's in charge? You go to a fucking dive bar, you order a drink, you take a shot, and you use Aeon Sage. You're going to glean every piece of information around these people because you're just offloading your mind to other people and grabbing any information that seemed pertinent. Argus's Eye, the best way to think of Argus Eye is that you're throwing part of your consciousness up in the air to effectively track movements. You've created yourself a radar of sorts. You know, it's like you are viewing your... The Argus Eye effectively lets you imagine you are playing isometric. You're not first person anymore. You're completely isometric. You know what's around a corner because you're throwing your Argus Eye up. Astral form. Officer sends out an astral form, throwing senses with the invisible rendition of themselves to a location of their choosing. Hey, I want to see what's on up above that. What's on that wall? Cool. I'm going to literally astral fucking project myself on that wall so I can see what's beyond it while holding a door. I'm going to be aiming straight at a fucking door with my gun. If anyone rounds that corner, they're going to get popped, and I'm going to astral project my fucking mind to look at all the windows to make sure I can get out. Boom. Dual Mind uses internal dialogue. Effectively, Dual Mind is kind of a meme option, which is legitimately consulting yourself. You have opened a second mind up, and you can debate yourself, and they're going to provide different outlooks on things. Because you've opened a second line of thinking. You can run calculations faster. You've opened a second mind up. Think smart, not hard. Hello. Now, let's not shoot Manly immediately, okay? We're not going to shoot Manly immediately. Terry Davis. Terry Davis was an interesting man. He created Temple OS. Immediately shot. Immediately. I can't believe Manly's been shot in the line of duty both times. My God. Truly. What a hero. Terry Davis is, let me bring it up. This is Terry Davis. He was a noted schizophrenic. He had issues. Terry had a lot of issues, but Terry was incredibly intelligent. That's the thing. Like, he was this incredibly intelligent man who created, God's loneliest programmer, effectively. To give you an idea, he created Temple OS. Now, to give you an idea of why this is actually fairly impressive, Terry Davis quite literally, by himself, mind you, by him fucking self, created an entire operating system and compiler. This is something that one man doesn't do, and he did it. This was the 90s, effectively. This is not something that is physically possible for someone to do, but he did it. Temple OS is also technically, I believe, the third temple to God, according to Davis. Yeah, Davis got religious, hence the name Temple OS, and he does believe that it was the, yeah, he did believe that it was the, allowed him to talk to God. And it's God's operating system. One weird thing about it, though, to give you an idea, it effectively allows him to auto-generate scriptures, and people have compiled some of these into just the Book of Davis because of how fucking weird they are. All I'm saying is, if Terry was around for the AI revolution, that man would have created something unholy. The programming language of God. And yeah, again, he is a immensely competent and immensely intelligent person. Just very schizophrenic. And very, very difficult to, well, manage. And he really hated black people. He also really hated black people. More accurately, he hated the CIA. Because he believed that the CIA was the cause behind everything, and everything bad in the world was in fact the CIA's fault. Which he's not entirely incorrect. Let's not kid ourselves here. Like, honestly, if you want a really good video on Terry, Down the Rabbit Hole on Temple OS. Frederick Knudsen did a video a while ago. It's pretty well researched, and just, you gotta remember, this man is severely schizophrenic and completely unmedicated. You know, Terry was a fascinating creature because of the rampant non-ability to get medicated. Ow, ow, ow. On the beat. Actually. By the public safety, security source for public safety. It is public safety department. Public security. That's the official term, not public safety. Neon public security. Yeah. Or UN affiliated organizations to assist with criminal activity, and espionage against the state. The officers are rarely called in for simple cases, but find themselves in the heart of a mystery. And always on a timer. So we want to do two. How do we want to organize this section? Actually no. First things we want to do on the beat, and then we're going to do Mm. Mm. Every day. Every day consists of 24 hours. Every day consists of 24 hours. And unfortunate and unfortunately and unfortunate and what do I want to do? Crime, actually I should say crime never sleeps. And the first 48 hours of any case is the most critical. Is the most critical for solving it, forcing the officers to react quickly and ration their time and resources to uncover the criminal and stop and bring them to justice or in early grave. Each day in Neom is broken up into 4 time intervals. Each day in Neom is broken by the 4 time intervals. Dawn, noon, dusk, night. Yeah, dawn, noon, dusk, night. Noon, night, that works. I mean, you got a better... Do you have a better word for this? Dawn, noon, dusk, night. It feels like there should, It feels like there should be something else. I don't know what I'm saying. Evening? Yeah, you know, fuck it. I'll keep dawn, dusk, noon, night. Kind of gives a more ominous break. Broken up into 4 times. And the first shift begins. The speed rails rocket off the first loads of civilians toward their work, and the sun has crested the line, and the sun is just cresting the line's walls. Actually, noon would be 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. I guess 12 p.m. 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. is when it's noon is when the line is in the full glory of the sun. And second shift begins. No. Of action, and with the hustle and bustle of city rice reaching a crescendo of action and events in the city. Noon 12. This would be 12 p.m. Dusk has the midnight. Dusk has has darkness overtake. Dusk, this would be 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. As the darkness overtake these numbers are these aren't perfect yet, so give me some slack here. As darkness overtake the city, as people begin winding down on third shift. Third shift and night crawlers begin their daily routines. Finally, night. 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. Finally, night is where darkness is king, and the midnight eagles, and the midnight runners and mavericks, and the midnight mavericks and parties kick off across the entire region. There we go. Speed rails on the third shift. Crescendo mavericks. Every action committed by the officers of Neurobeat fall within one of these time brackets. Forcing them to whittle away time to get what they forcing them to whittle away time, completing an objective or investigating the scene. These can be broken. Each action can be broken down into full, half, and quarter. Yeah, no. Let's see. Each action can be broken down into full, half, and quarter actions, taking up a certain amount of time. In that bracket. For example, full actions take up the whole 6 hours. 6 hours, if only because it forces them to get sit in line, get sign paperwork, or just sleep. Sign paperwork or just sleep. Sleep off their head. See, if only because it forces them to sit in line, get a proper paperwork, or sleep off their headache. Half and quarter actions take up less time, but can only be let's see, but take up less time, but can only but take up less time in an individual bracket. Mm, mm. I'm broken up into 4 hours. Maybe. I'm thinking of. Because if we break it, if we assume that every, oh god, I'm clicking every wrong button. Let's see. If we assume that, let's say we have 6 hours. So we have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Full thing would take 6 hours. So if we want to say full. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it would take you 3 hours. This would be a half action, and this would be a quarter action. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it'd be effective. It's effectively no, I guess it would be 6 hours. Because there would be 6 to 7, 6 to 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, 10, and 11. 11, 12. So half would be, that would be still 6 actions. So full, so 3 would be here. This would be half. These would be a half action. I guess quarter action. I guess we just have quarter actions. So it's taking up either 3 or like a full block of time or a half block of time. Actually, there's this auto dock or my interactions don't take up any don't take any whoa wow swouse. The minor actions don't take up any direct time. Let's see, minor actions don't take up any direct time. Direct time. I thought I had this entire thing planned out, and I really don't. Okay, new plan. New plan. We're going to the inspiration of this entire system, the Blade Runner RPG. Yes. I want to make sure. Because, you might think, wow, Notepad, you're super creative and everything you do is super awesome and unique. It's not. Effectively, this entire game are based off of this section, shift system. You know, what shifts are you kind of doing? You know, case files and things like that. I'm like, yeah, we can break down at the time, and that works pretty good. You know, 4 shifts in a day. We would need to go to shifts. Actually went over the Blade Runner RPG. Didn't care for it. being honest. I thought there were some good ideas in this game. It's just unfortunately what it is. That's, to me anyway, that was my issue. It's because it's Blade Runner. I'm like, We're showing involved in your case while visiting a location, visiting me shift after shift. Typically, you'll be able to visit one location each shift. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna probably lay that. Hey, Notepad, what other kinds of visual styles would you like to see in video games? Personally, I'm kind of sick of the half-ass comic style stuff like Overwatch and Hawk and How. They go full or non-stylized stuff like Psychonauts would make good visual style. I would like to believe that we're seeing a return to more of a full stylization. Because people have realized, I think mostly the 5th gen, the 360 and kind of the 360 and PS4 era, PS3 era, I guess you would say, is we learned that games that have a distinct visual style last longer. It's the games that have a that kind of more of a visual identity. It's more stylized, it's more pretty, kind of has more of a look to it than hyper realism. Because I think the issue with like the hyper realism, like I don't know what I would want to see more of, but I don't want to see any more of that like super hyper realistic stuff anymore. I find that's kind of boring me at this point, because like the thing is, hyper realism today is yesterday's weird potato men. Because you gotta remember, people looked at Oblivion when Oblivion was like, holy shit, this is hyper realistic. Yeah, people were like, this is the best looking game available, which it makes a lot of sense, being like, yeah, fucking Oblivion looked astounding for the time, because that just wasn't a thing. Like a 2006. People seem to forget that part, that Oblivion came out in 2006. Like, let me see if I can find 2006 games. To give you an idea, we lived in a world where, like, Call of Duty 3 came out. Call of Duty 3. Like, we had, like... Yeah, we had, like, a lot of these games that just looked very... Like, Okami was coming out. You had a bunch of games coming out. But you had, like, what was the most realistic looking game? Well, of course, it had to be, Oblivion. The Elder Scrolls Oblivion, which was like, yeah, this was the quintessential, fucking gaming back in the day, because it kind of fucking was, if you compared it to, like, Morrowind. But, yeah, let's... Give a certain amount of time. Don't take up any direct time. Can be paired up. Actually. These actions. These actions can be considered at the investigation scale. Forcing the officers to think ahead, forcing the officers to find the three most important aspects of any case. Forcing the officers to split up and uncover clues to where they might find uncover clues. Of course, interviewing a maverick in the middle of the day is hard. Of course, interviewing a maverick in the middle of the day is hard, but finding a corporate stooge, would be impossible at night. Going to places at the right time. Going to places at the right time and right location can let's see, going to the right place at the right time. Maybe the pivotal ace in the hole. Ace. A pivotal piece of evidence required for the case. So, kind of the idea of like it's a 24-hour day. You got crime never sleeps. Then we go into, we're just gonna break things down a little bit. What do we need? So we're going to do investigation scale. We're going to talk about the investigation scale. Actually, I'm going to do investigations. Breaking it down to be very, very simple. What is an investigation? What does it do? How do we do it? Cool. Then we're going to do more personal scale. We're gun is drawn. What are we doing? Or like we're kind of doing more personal stuff. How does this work? Then we're going to do more, it would be investigation scale, investigation, personal, actually, we can actually do dramatic scale. Psychorealism, which is going to be more of the PSI power, psi powers. Personal scale. Yeah, Hitman Blood Money was great for his fucking visual, because you gotta, like, Hitman Blood Money, if you look at it now, like, people be like, oh, it looks really good. And it does look pretty good for the time. Like, you compare it to some of the shit now, it's like, yeah, it doesn't look as good. Let's see, so we do On the Beat, we're going to talk about investigations. How do we talk about investigations? How that works? Dramatic scale. Psychorealism, how your psi powers are going to interact with the world. Then we're going to deal with what else am I missing? Actually, we'll do navigating the city. We put navigating the city ahead because that's going to be one of the harder parts. Actually, is it might take you time to get from point A to fucking point B. You were dealing with an entire region. Speed rails can get you places quick, but it's like, if you are in Oxagon, getting to the other side of Neom is going to take you a fucking 6 hours. It's going to take you a long ass time. And that's just something in which you have to think about. Mm. Neom is a city of Ray. Neom is a. Any city block, any neighborhood, any place, anytime, has a speed rail going to it. Has a speed rail going to it at one point of the day, or another. One point of the day or another. However, the speed rails are still public transit. While the public security force may have cars and trucks for patrolling outside of the city, while inside the line and the city blocks, it's foot traffic, or it's running on foot or running or taking the police speed, or taking the security speed rail. Like it's running on foot or taking the security speed rail. Time is of the essence. Let's see. Moving across the entirety of the line takes a total of 5 hours, not including stops, pickups, breakdowns, or any other host of congestion that that Neom suffers on a regular basis. Moving across the entirety of the line takes a total of 5 hours. Takes a total of 4 hours, not including stops, pickups, breakdowns, or the if the let's see, if the let's see. Officers, the officers will always have safe haven in any of the city blocks, as there is a public security office. There is a public security actually. Let's see, 3 hours by security speed rail, and 6 hours for regular speed rail. Stops, pickups, breakdowns, or any other host congestion. We'll always have safe haven, as there is a public security office in each one of them along the line. Along the line, they may be able to find a checkpoint or two. They may be able to find a checkpoint in zone transitions, but rarely any serious police presence. Unless requested or because it's funny. Along the line, they may not find a checkpoint in zone transition, but really police presence unless requested. Fuck, how do I want to do this? You know. Moving from one city block, moving from one city block to another is a half action during one using. This is let's see, moving from one city block. When using regular transit, moving inside any moving to any aligned neighborhood would just be a minor action. Not requiring any serious time. By security transit, an officer may move two city blocks for a half action, may move two city blocks for a half action. And mind you, I'm being a little bit imprecise here because I'm going to have to legitimately trace out the entirety of how Neom fucking functions, which is going to be a bitch. Any serious time by security transit, an officer may move two city blocks for a half action. Hey, it's not like Saudi Arabia knows how Neom's gonna work. My big thing of how I'm going to be wording it is Neom just grew too fast, and it's a city that doesn't fucking work. And that's the idea. It's the manufactured city. Corp's got a hold of it, and we're like, hey, we're just going to start investing a shit ton of money to make this our private little paradise where we can just have people work there. So the individual blocks of the neighborhoods. Oh. Hello, phone. It's completely vaporware. So what I'm gonna do is I need to leave for a bit. Let me think. How long will this take? Probably not very long. No, it's a little bit late. I think I'm gonna call stream here. Most likely we might do a stream tomorrow if the Harn video ends quickly. Don't know if it will or not, because tomorrow's going to be very busy. We'll probably do a very long video on Friday, if anything. It's going to be a very long video. and I will just work on this as hard as I can, because probably the rest of the night I need to help my mom with some stuff, so that's why. So thank you all for coming. Apologies for cutting this a little bit early. Thank you. Godspeed. Good luck. Probably be online later though, because that's how it be. Oh, you did a video on Harn already. Nope, we haven't done a video on Harn because Harn is a weird thing to do a video on. Probably I'm going to mention High Colonies 2020, unfortunately, because High Colonies 2020 was a mistake. So, thank you. I will see you later.